Hello, hello, hello everyone. How's it going? Good to see you all. Welcome to the UGC Masterclass. My name is Ollie, co-founder of WYSPR, where we turn consumers into content creators for user-generated content at scale. Now, just a fair warning, guys. This is usually an hour-long session that I do, and I've got 20 minutes. So phones out, taking pictures of the slides, because we are going to blast through this at lightning speed, okay? So let's kick off. Intro to UGC. We're starting from step one. So what is user-generated content? User-generated content is anything, images, videos, text, audio, that is made and or distributed by the customer of your brand. So someone who uses your product, someone who knows you, loves you, is part of your brand community, creating content for you. That is the foundation of what user-generated content is. We like to oftentimes reference this quote by the co-founder of Intuit and the director of eBay. He's worth a few quid, 6.8 billion. A brand is no longer what we tell the consumer it is, it's what the consumers tell each other it is. And this is the key indicator of what UGC can provide. It allows you to leverage your consumers to talk to each other. Digital word of mouth, essentially. So what are the different types of UGC? Well, let's take it back to Web 1.0, the original type of UGC that we're all familiar with, Amazon reviews, text reviews, people leaving something, commenting with a text piece of content, usually below a product page. But also blog posts were huge, and now, of course, it's social content. So short-form video content is the dominant type of content that people are looking to really validate their social and consumption habits. So let's look at the graph. Obviously, you've got this big, broad category of content, right? And you've got all the content that you make yourself, that's branded content, and then content made by others. You've got influencer content in there, UGC, and UGC-style content. Now, there is a little bit of a difference there, and it needs to be clarified, because authentic UGC and UGC style are similar, but subtly different. So we like to plot it on a matrix like this, right? Between customers, non-customers, high trust and low trust. Now at the top right, you have the highest trust made by your customers. That's real UGC, authentic content made by your brand's customers. But you can see in the bottom right, UGC style content is something that's huge as well. It's hiring professional creators to simulate the experience of your customers. So they might not be real customers, but they can make content that looks and feel like it. They have their use case, but don't confuse it with real user-generated content. Now, if we follow the axis down, nano influencers, obviously because there's a lot of them, there's a good chance that some of them are going to be your customers and you can leverage them to create content. But as you move down to the bigger and bigger audiences, there's less and less likelihood that they're your customers. They still can be, there's just less of a chance. And what we see is that trust is diminishing as we move into bigger and bigger audiences. So real UGC, you can see a little bit of a difference there. Your consumers are creating content about your brand versus high quality content in the style of your consumers. So one on the left might look a bit more rough and ready, but don't mistake that as bad content. We like to have a saying at WYSPR, your content doesn't need to look good, it needs to feel real. And that's what really resonates with consumers in 2025. So your UGC can come from anyone because your consumers can look like anyone. So that's to keep in mind. Think about what they want to see when they reflect their own personality in user-generated content. And user-generated content is winning in a huge, huge way. 84% of consumers say they trust a brand significantly more when they leverage user-generated content. And 86% of marketers are seeing a positive return on investment from both organic and paid UGC. But it doesn't just stop there, because 93% of consumers use UGC to validate their final purchasing experience. 60% say it's the most authentic content that you can put out as a brand, and 80% prefer UGC over professional photography. So what you get is super authentic social validation where people can see someone like them advocating for your brand and product. But UGC is not just changing how people perceive your content, it's also changing purchasing habits directly. As I said, 93 use it to validate their final purchasing experience. They might see a branded piece of content or an influencer content and it resonates with them, but they might not fully trust it. They want to see what another customer has to say before they click buy. And 77% of shoppers say they're more likely to buy after encountering user-generated content as well. It affects click-through rate at 4 times higher rates. 90% more time is spent on your site when you leverage UGC on your product pages. And you see 154% average higher rise in conversion rates with UGC on your website as well. So how does it differ from influencers? Well, influencers have an authoritative effect. It's a one-way communication channel. They speak down to their audience. People might look up to them and aspire to be like them, but they don't resonate with them. User-generated content, on the other hand, is peer-to-peer. It's consumers speaking to other consumers to validate someone who looks and feels like them. So, another great quote from Big Daddy Bezos. Your brand isn't what you say it is, it's what others say it is when you're not in the room. So how can you change that conversation happening in the room you're not in? So, let's explore all the ways that user-generated content can be used and brands are winning using it. So, if we could roll this video quickly.
Chili's the fucking restaurant. A single TikTok. One that one lady did. Not them, not the agency, not an influencer they paid. A human made one video about some triple cheese fucking thing they got. 40% of their Q3 revenue at Chili's is contributed to a single organic post on social media. For the first time in the history of marketing, the creative, if it's good, gets seen a lot with no media dollars. This industry for 50 years has spent good-ass media dollars amplifying shit-ass creative.
That is so powerful. It's a great example of one video made by a real customer making one piece of content, and 40% of their revenue was attributed to that one piece of content. You don't need big influencers. You just need authentic content that resonates with people. So UGC is also as cost-effective as influencers. Let's say you have a 20K budget. You could get a handful of influencers, let's say a group of 8, all averaging a 20,000 view video each. That's 160,000 views total. But for the same budget, you could get 100 regular consumers, each averaging 2,000 views on their video, and outperform that. And not only that, you can typically license the content straight away because they're eager and keen to make the content for your brand. So you can use it behind paid, organic, social, out of home, everywhere. So this is what we do in a Boost campaign. You can see the similar results there. With the same budget, we leveraged 100 UGC consumers, real consumers of Coleman's. We found the most creative customers in their brand consumer group and leveraged them to create content. And it smashed the typical influencer campaign. 378,000 views in the first 6 weeks alone with a whopping 18.5% view rate, which is so much higher than the typical influencer rate as well. So, UGC for paid. This is where things get really powerful. If we could just roll this video quickly. Huel are one of the fastest growing nutrition companies in the UK, and they leverage UGC in a way behind paid like no other. They have real consumers creating content for them that is applicable to their life situation. So if we could roll the video on the left, please.
I saw this, this, and I've never looked back.
As a busy dad of 3, I never had the time to prep lunch for work. I'd end up grabbing a Greggs or a meal deal. I was chatting to a dad at school pickup and he recommended I try Huel ready to drink. I ordered myself some on their website and I've never looked back. With one pack offering 12 meals at just £3 and 4p each, I'm saving so much money. With 22 grams of protein, all 26 essential vitamins and minerals and 172 health benefits, I'm feeling so much better in myself. This is a no-brainer for busy dads, so follow the link to get yours.
You can see how powerful that formula is. It resonates immediately with who they're trying to target, a busy dad of 3. That's an immediate relate point. So you can see that. I'm a busy dad of 3 too. How can I get my nutrition in? They propose the alternative, a Greggs meal deal, and then they offer their solution. That's a perfect hook, retention, call to action at the end. We don't have time to play the others, but you can see that that wasn't a high fidelity piece of content. That was a scrappy one shot in the kitchen by one guy. And it's a super powerful one. It's been running for a long time. Let's move on to socials as search. Your consumers are searching for your brand on socials to validate their purchasing habits. They want to see what other consumers have to say. TikTok and Instagram are now search engines. If you search for your brand on TikTok and real, authentic, user-generated content isn't popping up, you need to solve that issue today because people will validate whether they buy your product based on that criteria. UGC is socials. Of course, UGC for your social media and organic media strategy is super powerful. If we can play this video quickly, you can see that one of our clients here, when you go onto their social profile and you click on their stories, you are met with a wall of advocacy from real consumers, looking at all the cute different doggies with all their lovely brands and collars, but it provides social validation once again. This is your landing page for social, guys. It should be flooded with authentic UGC. And of course, UGC can be used out of home, billboards, digital billboards for UGC, but you can also inspire people to think about your brand and capture that mind space. Sony did one with PlayStation where they asked people to submit photos of triangles, circles, X's, and squares so they can think about their brand in their everyday life and inspire them to take action. UGC is powerful because it meets the trifecta of 3 of your content strategies. By delivering UGC, you can use content for your paid socials, organic socials, and your influencer, all with the same budget. So how do you source UGC? UGC comes from your consumers, but consumers can be motivated more than money. So you don't have to come knocking on our door if you don't want to. Payment incentives have pros. Yeah, it gives you the most control. It allows for full licensing. It's high quality, reliable, attractive, but of course it costs money. And it requires disclosure, #ad. Although that's not what we see the biggest indicator of what people think an ad looks and feels like. Branded content feels more like an ad than UGC content with a #ad. Gifting, of course, you can give away your product and hope that people post. Or that's authentic, it's cost effective, and there's minimal disclosure with #gifted. But you can't control what they post. It's always going to be product focused. It's not going to be a wider narrative like the video we saw. Typically, you're not going to get a license with that, and it can be a drop in the ocean if you don't get a successful post rate. Challenges, inviting people to participate in a challenge. It can go viral, it can get creative, it can build community. But again, less control. It might have a niche appeal, and it needs momentum. Challenges can fall flat on their face sometimes. Competitions, prizes, and giveaways. Broad reach, exclusive incentive, easy entry, but limited control and no guarantees once again. Although this was, back in the early days of social, a really powerful way of sourcing UGC. Creative stunt, this is my personal favorite because it's just so fun and you get to have a good brainstorming session about all the different creative stunts you can come up with. And this is one of my personal favorites. It can be exciting, it can be visual, it can be high shareable, but it can be expensive, unpredictable, and of course it's going to be location bound. So if we can roll that video.
Oh, you should have gone to Specsavers. Book an eye test today and find a van on a bollard in Edinburgh.
Okay, so you can see there that obviously it's location bound, but just doing a stunt like that generated hundreds of TikToks of people posting about it, going, oh, look at these idiots at Specsavers. Obviously it's a stunt, but it's so fun for people to engage with. So what complements user-generated content? Augmented reality, virtual reality filters, Snapchat, TikTok, super powerful. You can make one filter and inspire hundreds of people to post. Of course, what you're going to get back from that is you're going to get a lot of the same content, but it can really inspire and motivate traction. You can support with custom audio as well, so make a dedicated track for your brand on socials, so you can have a branded audio. I'm not sure we're going to play this one today, but if you want to come listen to it, our partnered agencies at Loud Parade make awesome branded music, and I'll show it to you over there. I'm in the back corner. But it can really drive not only initial engagement, but you can have hundreds of people using it on TikTok as well, organically, and that is more brand impressions for you as well. And sampling, of course. Sending people products out, getting them to create UGC off the back of sampling, super powerful alongside it. So, any retail media people in the crowd today? Any retail media people, hands up? Okay, this is going to be for you, perfect. You've got a dedicated session right now. So, why UGC matters for retail media? So, of course, as we know, social UGC is influencing store purchasing in a big way. We've got dedicated aisles in supermarkets now for as seen on Instagram and as seen on TikTok. People are going into shops to buy what they see online. But UGC builds trust at the point of purchase, both online and in store. So the modern path to purchase is now looped. Things aren't the traditional funnel that we see anymore. Discovery happens on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. The conversion often lands at your retailer, pdp.com, or in-store. And then the UGC influences that again back to the content again for them to post, make content themselves. So you can have a cyclical, circular economy of people becoming customers and making content for you. It's scalable. So here's 2 examples of content that we produced that directed people in-store. I'm not sure we have time for this either, but come find me and I'll show you the videos. And then, of course, UGC on your product page. Zara are doing this in a huge way, and it's really working for them. You can see that they're including real images of actual customers on their product pages to convert checkout. Of course, the piece of item of clothing looks great on a model. Why wouldn't it? What does it look like on someone who looks like me? I need that before I can click the buy button. And in-store amplification. You can book QR codes in the product, in the aisle to invite people to find more about content. How can I scan the QR code and use that product in my recipe tonight? So you can actually drive a inspiration at the point of purchase in the retailer. And look at this ad for Flora that I saw in my local Sainsbury's recently. What does that ad do for you? At best, it reminds me that Flora exists. right? It doesn't inspire me to make any purchase or drive anything new. These digital displays have the benefit of making short form video, and you can put that on there instead. So if we could roll this clip, obviously it won't have audio, but now instead of just being reminded of a product, I'm being inspired about what to make for dinner tonight, so I can actually go out my way and make a purchase of something that's not on my list. And of course, because it's a video, you can include multiple products in the same 30 seconds. So here is the UGC value calculator of why it's so powerful. You take the value of the number of UGC videos that you can source. You add the total organic performance of the creators posting it to their personal profiles, plus all the value of the reuse of UGC behind organic and paid. And you find that the total UGC value earned dwarfs any of your other content strategies. So key takeaways. UGC is authentic. It's perceived as more authentic by your customers. Its brand-created content is dying because it looks and feels like an ad. It influences decisions. People are more likely to check out and buy your product if you have UGC, so people can see what it looks like in their hands. It's economic benefits because it leads to higher conversions, it performs better, but also you're consolidating all your budgets into one. And social media impact, social UGC is so powerful because it can drive sales and have a conversation around your brand. Guys, UGC is no longer nice to have. UGC underpins your entire brand strategy. Those are all my citations. Thanks so much. Also, I'm pitching on stage to Clarence after this, so come say hi. Do we have time for any questions? I'm not sure. I think we have a few minutes for questions, just one or two. Yes, I'll come to you. Go for it.
I don't know if you can hear me, but we're from an experiences brand, so we don't have a physical product. How would you recommend we can best use UGC and make sure that our brand is still going to be recognized from the UGC when we don't have a physical product for people to just hold?
Okay, cool. That's a great question. Obviously, you have people experiencing your product already. That is an opportunity for them to make content. You might want to put a title card at the end to drive it to awareness about your call to action or your platform or whatever you do. But you have the opportunity to leverage those people making those experiences to film it, record it, relay their experience, and maybe put a small clip at the end as a call to action as how they found that experience and drive it for you, license it, and then use it for yourself. So UGC doesn't have to be for physical products. It can be for anything. We do a lot of work with restaurants, experience, events as well. You just need to make sure that you capture that experience and then let people know how they found that experience. Yes?
Do you find that you have any problems with usage rights?
So all of our content that we produce for our clients is automatically fully licensed for your global perpetual usage. So we don't personally. You might find that yourself when you manage. But yeah, so sorry.
I actually work in banking, but I used to work in beauty, so it's very different.
Yes, yeah, those are two vastly different industries. But yes, you can leverage each one. We don't find a problem ourselves because we have a huge database of creators, as well as the ability to tap into motivated consumers through our technology. But it can be one that you encounter, especially with people who have been doing it for a while, like UGC creators versus authentic UGC. It's something to keep out on, but everyone wants to work. Everyone wants to get motivated by a brand. You just need to find a way to make that work. Okay. I think that's all we have time for, but come say hi. I'm in the back left corner, and come meet all the other exciting startups that are around in the House of Innovation. And I hope you found this session useful. I've been Ollie from WYSPR. Thank you so much.
All right, good afternoon. If you're here for the Clarence Brand Challenge, it's going to be kicking off in about 10 minutes, so do stay in your seats and be ready for the Clarence Brand Challenge.